I want to start off by saying we're not telling anyone to think how we think. This has come through observations, research, but I would always say to people, don't believe a thing we're saying. Go and do your own research and just observe, like just start to build the internal awareness so you're able to observe what's happening. We said some things in that first video that we did, and it's all come to light now. It's all happening. People are like, oh, how did you predict it? Didn't predict it. We just observed what they were telling us. So like, one of the examples is we predicted that there will be a second wave in October. Now, we didn't use emotions on that, it was logic. So if there's a summer, and clearly in summer there's less illness in summer, that's on a general scale, then you have to understand that winter's going to be the place where they're going to put more pressure, because one, it's easier to control people probably in winter because they're going to want to be inside. It's colder, the fear, you can instill fear more, and then like, so if I make a prediction now, I think the next lockdown is happening in October half term. The reason why I say that, just by seeing what they're saying, is they've been playing, like they've been seeing if they can lock down different areas. To me, there's been it's made me realize the bullshit of the system because of what it is. Now, a pandemic, let's just look at what a pandemic is. Pandemic is based on deaths, right? So it's based on a risk to humanity and deaths, right? So obviously there's the before the deaths is the, okay, so how many people are actually getting this virus? Okay, cool, lots of people. But your main thing is to prevent deaths. Now, in the first wave, there was this thing around, there was loads of deaths happening, right? There was lots of people getting it. But what's happened now is they're trying to control us based on people getting the virus, not so much deaths. So if you look around, and I'm just saying, observe around, you're not hearing about deaths as much, you're hearing about people getting it. And so then it's made me think, what is this really about? Because when I asked the question, so how many people, in terms of the percentage of the virus in whole, in the UK for instance, how many people actually die? And they said less than 1%. Then you have to go, wait, less than 1% people die, and there's such a, you're trying to control 99% of the population in this way. And then, so there's a tier system as well in regards to this pandemic, in terms of there's different tiers. And when the World Health Organization or some scientists explain what the tier system is, you don't need to wear masks. I think it's a tier 2, which is basically you don't need to wear masks. You just got to keep inform and educate, and advise people to keep a distance. But also, it's actually against the law what they're doing. And so for those who don't know, so there's two different laws that kind of govern us. There's the law of the land, which is, people from the soil, and then you've got the law, a maritime law, admiral law, or the law of the sea, which is what they use to govern us currently. So the law of the sea, the law of the land is very clear: free premises, injury, harm, or loss. So a person, and not even a person, a human individual should not cause injury, harm, or loss. Now, when you go into the law of the sea, you become a person. So they create this entity through your birth certificate, and then it's down to you whether you choose to represent or not represent that person. So a person is someone who is in block capitals with Mr. or Mrs. or whatever it is, the fiction. It's not real.
Name.
It's your name. Yeah. And as soon as that person is created, there's a money that is created through the bank, because they have to pay child tax credits, all this thing, and then they can use that money to then build interest off of it. So there's a reason. It's so deep. We'll go into that another time. But what they're doing currently, which has become very vivid for me, and I'm so glad I did this research 3 years ago about the whole system to then understand, oh damn, this is happening now, is they're using the maritime system, so the system that's fictional, to now make us products. So like, for instance, I watched Social Dilemma, I told you that you are now the product. And so if you look at a ship and it has cargo, you are the cargo, so you are the currency. So what they're trying to do now is they're trying to see how they can control us, to see how aware are we. So they're doing like local lockdowns and then national lockdowns, and even now I've just seen in the BBC they're saying, oh, it's likely that there will be a national lockdown, which is basically saying this is coming. So everything they normally say may or likely, the media, I'm like, okay, so that's coming. So
you know, like what I have to ask is like, where's the proof?
Yeah.
Where's the bodies? Where's the bodies? Because the only thing that I'm seeing or hearing is that there's the news is telling me personally that, well, not me personally, but the news is saying that this amount of people have died.
Yeah. And there's something called an R rate, which I don't believe. That's not the proof. Like, that's not proof to me. No.
I need to be seeing these bodies.
Look at that. Second national lockdown. This is today, 11th of, what's today? 11th of October. Yeah. 11th of October today. Second national lockdown possible, says top UK scientists. Possible means it's going to happen. and people like, we're not predicting it. They're telling you what they're doing. They just subtly put in messages. They tell you your citizens in a ship. Your citizens governed by the maritime law in a ship, citizenship. When you ask someone, are you a person? Most people say yes.
Yeah.
How you doing, bro? And you're not a person, you're a human.
Yeah.
But what they do is they're tying in this person, which is the matrix person.
The person
it's
and
the
the
matrix.
human
Yeah,
is separate.
it's different. But that's what it is. They use the person to control you, to get the money out of you. That's how they get the currency out of you, the person. If you know what, don't even believe us. Go and search on YouTube the legal definition of a person, and it will tell you a human treated as a legal, a non-human entity. Which
basically,
it's like, it's in plain sight.
If you've been lied to about your name and who and what you actually are, right? So if they've lied to you about that, if they haven't given you the full picture of that, why would they give you the full picture about anything else? So when we're speaking about COVID and lockdown and, you know, all the information that they're giving, why would they be telling you the truth? An example, 9/11. When that plane went into that tower, right? If we're using the game Jenga, right, as an example, when you're pulling pieces out from each side, right, and let's just say it's on the brink of collapsing, how does it fall? It tips.
Yeah.
It tips. It doesn't come falling down like that. It tips.
Yeah.
So,
and if a plane goes into the side of it, then the top really should have tipped.
It's not gonna come down like that. It's not possible. There is no building that's gonna get licked out from that side or that side, and it's gonna come crumbling down.
You'd have to know how to blow the foundations of that.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So the fact that these wankers showed us this, right, and we actually think that what they presented to us was factual, actually tells you and tells us that if we believe that, we will believe anything, because there is no way possible that that building is coming crumbling down.
That was murder in plain sight.
Jenga is just a prime example. You've never played a game of Jenga, pulled the pieces out, and it's just dropped straight. It tips over.
Yeah.
Now, we're actually talking about a building, a tower, reinforced in the best way.
Hurricane-proof everything. That was murder in plain sight.
It doesn't make sense.
The official report we've been given is unscientific and full of mistruths.
It doesn't make sense. So if we're looking at that, and now we're taking into account COVID, how on earth can we possibly take these people's word for anything?
Let's not forget as well, when my man was on the news in front of number 10 and said the actual numbers of COVID deaths, we all know, they've already said it's higher. They've said it's higher than what it really is. Yeah, so even if you go back to your 1%, you've got to look at the fact that he said on plain sighted national TV, if you get hit by a bus 3 weeks after getting a positive test result of COVID, they will mark it down on your death certificate as COVID-related death. Which means not only are you telling us disproportionate numbers in general, right? You are, as you said, just lying, because if we know that most people recover, you're telling us that person recovered, but then they got hit by a bus, then they got shot, then they got this, but just because it's there, you know what, we're going to put it down for that, because they're still receiving, they're getting money from it.
Basically, if you had tested positive in February for coronavirus, you'd recovered, you'd been fine for the last few months, but then you'd been hit by a lorry or hit by a bus yesterday and died, your death would still be added on to that coronavirus tally, even though clearly, even though you may have had it, clearly your death is nothing to do with coronavirus at all. So essentially what this means is that tally that we've been used to getting from the government every day when they are updating us on death figures is likely to be out, is likely to be too high, which means that 45,000 figure that we are currently looking at in terms of deaths from coronavirus is likely to be wrong. In terms of the actual count that Public Health England and the government rely on, well, that now looks to be inflated. So this urgent review has been ordered by the Health Secretary to basically try and sort out this issue and to try and establish actually by how much they have been overcounting their deaths. Hugely embarrassing.
In a sense, they are COVID deaths because they're the impact of COVID. So for instance, because they've locked down everything, of course people are going to be more sick because the hospital's level of quality of service is not the same. You cannot go and get your cancer treatments in the same, or like most of these places, you can't go and get the same treatments. So of course there's going to be deaths because people are not being able to get their treatments.
I wouldn't,
but then
no. But the thing is, it's not what I'm saying. It's not actually COVID related.
It's the impact.
It's the impact of their stupidity that's affecting it. Because let's look at. There's one film that's been bugging me for months because I cannot remember the name of it, and it was basically there was a big massive virus. I remember this film from when we were small. There's a big massive virus, and what they done is they locked down the city, right? But the way that they locked it down is everybody that was sick got quarantined. Now realistically, if we have a quarantine procedure, you're not supposed to quarantine everybody. If you quarantine everybody, you know that when you stay in your house 3-4 weeks upon end, without going outside, you're going to become sick because your immune system's going to be weakened when you're not going outside and being exposed to natural, as natural as possible to fresh air, right? You've not got anything, so if they're little colds and this and that, your body can't build up its immune system, so you are then internally, that's why a lot of people, when they're in hospital for long periods of time, they don't improve because they're not getting what they truly need, like the sun. They're not getting the air. They're not getting all of that. So you're still limited on your recovery. Right now, if you put somebody that could potentially be sick and quarantine them with people that aren't sick, what's going to happen? Everybody's going to get sick. If you quarantine those that are sick properly and keep all those that are fine away, it's going to improve faster. Your numbers are going to stay down. That's not what they're doing, right? Because you wouldn't know if you got it, but everyone's staying in the house together. Okay, cool. Now everybody's sick. Now the people that are meant to be helping you to treat it are going to get sick too.
COVID to me is going to go down in history, right, as the biggest joke ever. And I kind of feel like us as people, like whatever happens after this, we would have allowed it. We would have allowed it to happen because we're just compliant. They don't surprise me. Government, these suits, they don't surprise me. Like all of this is a scene for the grand finale, which is us taking this vaccine and them having society completely on smash.